I will try to talk about art, my process, freestyle is, because I'm always talking about societal dynamics. I'm avoiding the P word. Then yeah, I don't know. I can't go full here on YouTube anyways. So I'm talking about uh, art, trying to focus on that while I'm painting a little bit. And then it's maybe interesting for the future, for other generations. Yeah, like I'm painting. My process is that I'm painting. It turned out it developed like that I'm painting for 15, 16, 26, depending how old the paintings are, years on the same canvases, front to back. And each layer or each face, it's different than in the year or months or decade before. It's some kind of like a work rotation. And a lot of those paintings, I think, are but ugly in terms of, which is kind of healthy because it kind of grounds me. Maybe then at some point there turn out to be really good paintings in the future where I think they're looking good. I don't want to use the word beautiful because that could be like kitsch or something. But for example, the painting I'm painting right now, I don't like. In no, in I mean, aesthetic, colors, composition, meaning, everything. But that's not the point. Um, if I would think like that, I probably would hardly paint anyways. What was different back in the days was, let's say in the 90s or in the beginning 2000s, I was consuming a lot of paintings from my artist colleagues, like watching artwork from other artists. And I usually like the work from other artists more than my own work. Probably I would, if I would still look on the work of other artists, I would still think like that. And I have on my cell phone lots of material from other artists, illustrators, 3D artists, or whatever visual things, how you want to call it, which I really, really like. And it's like you have like a nice cake or something special or like a movie you want to watch, and you kind of like hold it back until okay, next week I watch it, or on the weekend, or as a reward this evening after working, la di da, something like that. So and it's really rarely that I'm thinking about my own work. It's in the 90s it was like I painted, let's say, a style like a SEAK style, like SEAK, in my futuristic style, let's say in an afternoon or a few hours or in a day. And then I was taking photos, and I live watching those photos, and those photos on the aesthetics and everything kind of was like driving or carrying me through the months and times afterwards, plus like sending those photos around, sending them to magazines. Um, it was long before website or sites to websites, and then corresponding with other artists. So the point is, um, the process of painting it. Obviously, when you paint like it's like having a workout. Then remembering or memorizing those paintings. They're usually then, let's say, 2.5 meters high or 2 meters high, and say 5 to 6 meters long. Like you paint like at an legal Hall of Fame, like a legal wall, which is nowadays in most cities. By the way, fun fact: I painted with lived with the founder and pioneer of the first legal graffiti Hall of Fame in New York, Vulcan, old school king legend, POC from New York. I lived with him for like 2 months, 3 months, at a gallery spot, a former after hours club location, then it was a gay party or dating venue, then it was, I think, a fire station, and then it was a loft, and then it was a gallery. And when it was a gallery, we were living there for some time because a mutual friend of us had a gallery there. Yeah. So, anyways, so it's kind of like everything is kind of connected to each other, and but that was in the 2007-ish, I think. 2007 or 2006. I think it was Christmas or autumn 2006. Um, to New Year's 2006. Um, yeah, and though that he founded the first Hall of Fame, legal wall painting Hall of Fame in New York in the 70s, late 70s, something like that. Anyways, the point is painting those on walls like this and that size um, has like an empowering spiritual blessing effect, which can carry you through all kinds of turmoils or giving you like a hype. It's like you wake up in the evening or in the night or in the morning and watch the photos of the painting of the piece you painted, and it's kind of like it's like you can compare this with when you are a child and you have your favorite toy or your scale modeler and you modeled the perfect tank diorama thing or the perfect sketch you've painted, and you wake up and you take a look to the side of the bed and watch the sketch, and it makes you feel perfect. I don't know, probably it's also like having your first child born or something. It's something like that, fulfilling on multiple levels. And I kind of denied myself that feeling. I mean, feelings are like markers, but they have like an effect. I denied myself this opportunity because it also comes along with an ego rush and an ego illusion. And ego can also be in the way of your progress as an artist. I mean, it can empower you and fuel you, but it can also have the very opposite effect. So to avoid that, I'm kind of like locked away my ego and painted from, I would say, beginning 2000s till these days, mostly in my studio, and hardly did any walls or very few walls, which is, I would have done more walls if I would have been requested to it or the opportunity came up. For some reason, I had also the thought that canvases are more, or studio work is more valued in the long run than like painting on walls from society. Like it is always also you wait for maybe for validation from the boomer generation or anything or from society for your work, but they never cared and they still don't care, which is interesting. Unless you paint like something like super cheesy street art, I don't know, like appealing, or even then they don't care. And plus, it must be like, yeah, now we are into societal things again. Um, I mean, this like not caring thing also it works in terms of what's like what's what people call like sheeple, like all the boomers here, and not caring about themselves and what's happening with the future. So, anyways, I kind of lost the point. Oh yeah, so I'm painting ugly things or things I don't like, or at least I work myself through that phase in a painting, and knowing that at some point it turns out, from experience, it will turn out in the end that it looks good, or I'm happy with it, or I'm stoked or mesmerized, however you want to call it. Um, and during that process, I'm also having grown and learned new skills, new painting skills. Um, and then I will and the benefit is I have lots of different charismatic, interesting paintings, which I never would have done if I would have gone by taste and by aesthetic preferences. So a lot of times I'm painting against my own preferences and keep on painting. I mean, to be perfectly honest, maybe a lot of times I don't have any aesthetic preferences. I'm just doing it without any reflection. And no, and still I don't have maybe the proper technique, or there are other more elegant techniques which could be used. But that's maybe also the spirit of painting itself. I mean, if I look at the paintings of, like, say, a Vermeer, and then I look at the paintings of the French expressionist, impressionist, they're kind of raw, and I mean, they're kind of like not really good painted oftentimes compared to a Vermeer, but they like a Vermeer can at some point be boring. I mean, in both the variation makes it also interesting to have the ability to watch both things. And I'm kind of like here. I mean, I'm painting here in spray paint, which have grown, which is just the element behind that. There's lots of other layers, and then now I'm painting with brush inside the spray paint. So there's different techniques I'm combining here, and in the future, when the painting is more developed, it will look good. Or even if it doesn't look good, or I don't like it, it still will be an interesting, good, charismatic painting, and I will have learned lots of techniques in the process. In Germany, we have this saying, "Learn by doing." Then it was good that I did it, because it's part of my artistic growth. And I will go to lots of, like, ugly paintings till I come to the paintings which I like. And why I'm making this a conversation, the point is, when I was painting with spray can, everything's more faster. If you do like something which doesn't look good, and you just paint your style in a few hours, I always described it as something like you climb a mountain. And often, at some point, painting a piece at a wall, let's say 2 to 6, 7 meters, like a SEAK style, it was often that I said, okay, now I'm at the peak of the mountain in terms of, I don't like how it's looking, and the painting I could mess it up, and it could be like, okay, I fucked up the painting. And then a lot of times when you're over the mountain, it gets easier, and then it means like I kind of like overcame myself, and the painting starts looking good, and I kind of like, and I think back then I realized, or not realized, but it was like, oh, you always have to try out a little bit something new, not too much, so we have a steady growth. But with brushes and stuff like that, everything is much more raw. And that is different than the aesthetic you have when you work with spray cans. Usually the whole aesthetic with spray cans is very clean, very, very crisp, or very almost like 3D perfect, which, I mean, if everyone works like that, and I tried to do that back in the days. Well, look at this, it has the same thing. Now I'm painting inside with brush, and it will have edges. It will look sharper, a little bit more raw. It will be a little bit more harder. It will have corners. It will be, yeah, rougher. Yeah, I mean, if everybody would paint like that, I would do something different. This element is a small A, and I painted it inside in the painting here. With and the background and everything has grown from 2010, and I painted this small A with spray can, I think last year. I think it was last year. And now I'm having a brush face, so I'm saying, okay, let's do always everywhere details. It's easy, and the positive thing with brushes is they're not as smelly and toxic a spray can, which is more fun in a way. It's different. If I won't paint spray can, I get sick from not painting with spray cans, because the interesting part is psychologically, um, I'm getting mentally healthy and confident and more masculine and more alive when I paint with spray cans. I think it has something to do with the round shape of grabbing the spray can, because it's it's like a round shape, and it's and the larger a round circle is, or the round a round form is, the more it is connected with positive emotions. And also I have a C in my name, which is like, say like this. It's a C. So and maybe that's connected to something, or then after the painting process, it connects me to mental things, and then like I realize I reckoned that when I paint with spray cans, it I'm emotion psychologically benefiting from it. And if I have phases or longer phases where I don't paint with spray cans, uh, I'm getting into I'm getting on a lower frequency and on less myself, less masculine, or less being alive, or being someone, or I don't know, frequency. It's also an escapism, I guess, from the modern world. Um, I don't know. It's like, it also depends on what you are doing with that, of course. Yeah. So I yeah. What else should I say? Yeah, I mean, I love this. I love those sci-fi master artists from those sci-fi paperback novels from the 70s and 80s. Um, and but I'm comparing myself to those. This year looks like an 80-year-old also trying to help and trying to be the same. I mean, it also looks kind of like toys, which is positive because it will prime and steer my audience into being creative and acceptance of new creative things, without necessarily reckoning that this has the effect on them. But this is often the case, that the horse who deserves or earns the heifer and the corn and the wheat and the food doesn't get it. Um, yeah. Uh, the good thing is, if I paint something ugly, or I paint in a painting where I know, oh, I don't like it, I don't care. I also don't care losing, and then or winning, or messing it up, because for me it's already like, okay, it already looks like, and that helps in the process too, because then you play less safe, and you're less super conscious, and you're less walking on eggshells, which is kind of positive. Yeah, I'm doing another live stream, so I will do I will, yeah, so